Hey guys, it's Jen and Kelly. Welcome to Her Book of Job, the podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Kelly and Jen and another episode of Her Book of Job. We're going to have you in your feelings today with this one. This one's called The Maze That Is Heartbreak.
Had I known that the heart breaks slowly, dismantling itself into unrecognizable plots of misery, had I known yet, I would have loved you. Your brash and insolent beauty, your heavy comedic face, and knowledge of sweet delights, but from a distance I would have left you whole and holy for the delectation of those who wanted more and cared less. Maya Angelou.
Wow, Jen, that Maya Angelou quote was really deep. What made you pick it for our feature for this episode?
I think it just really spoke to me. At the beginning, she says, if she knew that the heart would break slowly and dismantle itself and, become unrecognizable, essentially like in a ball of misery, had she known that, she would still love that person. And I feel like for a long time, as my love life has unfolded, I feel like I definitely resonated with that portion of the quote. And I just thought, how crazy is that? How deep is that? Had you known, you would still have that love for that person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what stuck out to me was that eventually at the end of that quote, she says, "But from a distance, I would have left you whole and wholly for those who wanted more and cared less." And like that kind of speaks to me because I'm the kind of person that falls quickly and loves really hard. And I kind of just throw myself into whatever it is, and so that is just a terrible combination and a recipe for heartbreak for sure. And so I like the
Mhm.
fact that in that quote, she's like, you know what? If I knew heartbreak was down the road, I would have left you for someone who, cared less, cared less than I do, because I care too much. I tend to care too much for people. And, not everyone is deserving of your affection and your love. And that's just a hard truth.
That's true. Definitely true. I think, as I got older, I definitely began to see it that way as well. Like when I was younger, I was definitely on that first half of the quote, and I don't necessarily think that is healthy.
I hear you. It sounds
Definitely
like you got
not.
a lot of heartbreak stories, huh, Jen?
Girl, it's the rap sheet for me. But I don't think, and I don't know what you think of this, but actually don't think I've ever been in love. I think I've had like a strong like for, various individuals, but
You really
or
think
a
you've
love
never
for
been in
them.
love, Jen? Like you really think you've never been in love?
No, I feel like it's a strong like
Wow.
that I've had, a strong like or a love for. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like since you've been in love, maybe you could tell me if you think I've been in love from the heartbreak that I've gone through. Maybe I have. Maybe I have. I just don't think I've ever been in, emphasis on in love. Have loved for or strong like, but yeah, I'm not really sure. I remember the first time I ever felt really heartbroken. It was my first love, like the person I had love for first ever. The love was, I would say, elementary, but very strong nonetheless. We grew up together. We would carpool to school, and our parents would take turns. And, this was like that boy next door kind of love. That type of love that you see like in the movies where,
Yeah.
like, these little kids are like best friends and then they love each other or whatever and end up going out.
Right.
However, I think that even though I viewed him as my first love, I think he saw me as one of the boys. On our car rides to school, we would play punch buggy.
So you were definitely in the
And
friend zone.
girl, I was in the friend zone. Like, he would punch me so hard. And all I knew was that I had to match that energy because I wasn't going to be out here getting punched.
What around what grade was this?
This was like early
Oh,
elementary school.
so
So
cute.
like very, very young. Yeah. And I don't know, as you would think that this other little kid is like punching your arm, and for like a silly game you would think that you wouldn't like that person, but I don't know, for some reason I just did. And as we got a little older, growing pains, I didn't have a cell phone at the time. So he would actually call my house phone. This is back when we had house phones, okay?
Of
Like some of
course.
these young
Kids
people
today
don't
will
know
never
about
know, bro. They don't know the
those.
struggle of your crush calling the house phone and your mom picking up.
Listen, so my first love, he would call the house and he would call in like a high-pitched voice. So my dad would think it's like one of my girlfriends. Sorry, dad. And we would talk. We'd have like really cute chats. He was my first kiss. And because of this, naturally, I thought he was going to be my husband. But spoiler alert, he's not. I just really, really liked him. But we never became official. There was always some other girl he liked or was dating someone.
Yeah.
But my feelings, they just remained consistent. For some reason, they were unwavering. I remember there was like a pivotal moment where I realized that it was just never going to happen. And I had to let him go. And I really sad about that because grow together. I don't know. That's just like a different type of love. You think you would end up with this person. It's kind of like I had the idea in my head that okay, life was gonna beat us up a bit, but we would find each other after all of that. And we
Wow.
just never did. We just never did. And I'll probably always have kind of like a soft spot for him or a care.
Hmm.
And I think, if he ever needed me, I would show up. I would pull up.
So he's like, is he like your one that got away type of thing?
It kind of feels that way. Definitely kind of feels that way. And I think it's because, that the feelings I had kind of started really young. So yeah, I definitely think so. But
Your first love story is so much better than mine. Even though it ends in heartbreak, like ends in heartbreak too, but
uh,
but at least your guy reciprocated feelings at some point. I mean, he was your first
that's
kiss and he called you, but man, you do. I don't know if you remember the Parkers. Do you remember like that show?
no.
Well, Monique loves Professor Ogilvy, right? Um,
Hmm.
and it's just an unrequited type of love. Like she is obsessed with him, and it wants nothing to do with her. This was me
Oh my
in
word.
second grade. I had the deepest. Remember, I told you I love hard. I had like the
Yeah.
deepest, strongest crush for this kid, and he wanted nothing, and I mean nothing to do with me. And he was not shy about letting me know this.
What?
Yeah.
So he was straight up telling you like, I'm not interested.
Oh, I wish he was that nice. One time, I remember one time I got the guts. You know what? I don't think I give myself enough credit. I'm actually a one brave girl, okay? This kid, I know
Hmm.
he's been turning me down. I know he doesn't like me and all this stuff. And I still decided, this was like in the cafeteria, lunchtime. We're in the, and I don't, I never forgot this because this is super traumatic. Um,
Oh,
we're in the lunch line and I decide I'm going to ask him to be my Valentine, because, yeah.
jeez.
Right? So I'm like, yeah, I've been a modern woman. You feel me? I wasn't going to wait around for him to ask me. So I was like, will you be my Valentine and all this stuff? And he goes, hell no. He goes, "You need to get a perm." This is before
In front
natural
of,
hair was in, girl.
in front of everyone.
Yeah, I've got my natural hair, and my hair was looking so nice. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't appreciated then because
Mm,
that wasn't the look. And he goes, He goes, "Hell no, you need to get a perm." Blah blah blah. I even think he even said something like, "You need to get your hair like your friends or something like that who had straight hair." So I mean, that's my first heartbreak story, and it's like this kid who I was just so infatuated with, wanted nothing to do with me, still kept chasing him around. I mean, this lasted for
mm.
like second, third, maybe fourth grade,
You
something
were
like that.
committed, girl.
I told you, girl, I'm loyal out here. When I care for you, I care for you.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. But I'm sorry that you went through that. That actually, I'm wondering now, like, how that affected how you moved later on. You know what I mean? As you got older. Because I know, like, for me, after the heartbreak of first love and stuff like that, I feel like heartbreak for me, like, intensified with each person that I found myself with.
Well, of course,
Um,
right? Because our
yeah,
our feelings and our relationships, they become more complicated as we age. So our little elementary heartbreaks don't compare to when we're adults, right?
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Oh, because those things were the toxicity levels were reaching new heights. Okay. Like I remember there's this one distinct time I was talking to this guy, right? We were out together and his ex-girlfriend was there, but initially it wasn't like awkward or anything. We were all having a good time. We're laughing and making jokes and stuff like that. Would you believe I was standing there with who I thought was like, my man or whatever. And all of a sudden, he starts singing, him and his boys start singing Boys to Men, End of the Road to his ex girlfriend.
What?
Girl, I
Although we've come. So they just break out,
right.
right? Okay.
Breakup. And you know how boys to men are, girl. Like they're real dramatic. It's like, although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let you go. It's unnatural. You belong to me. Like all these lyrics are like coming out and he has like major eye contact with his ex-girlfriend. And I'm just standing there awkwardly, like in disbelief. Jandai, is this really your life right now? Like, I didn't know what, like, should I move? Should I
But
walk? Like, I just didn't know
what I
what
don't
to do.
understand was this an attempt to get her back, or was this him saying goodbye? Because I'm I don't understand. What was he trying to communicate to his ex-girlfriend?
I don't know, but he was looking into her eyes like real deep. The vibes I was getting was kind of like, he wanted her back. But then I'm like,
Dang.
why am I here? Like, why am I present at this moment? It was just really weird. And would you believe after that experience, I dated the guy because I clearly didn't love myself. But the
Oh.
aftermath of that relationship was brutal. And to be fair, as bad as it was, it didn't really prepare me for what I would experience later on as I got older. Because, like you said, as you get older, relationships become more complicated. And I found myself in a relationship with,
So you're saying it got worse than the boys to men guy?
yes,
Oh Lord.
yes. In this situation, we were kind of like fire and ice. I think is the best way to explain it. We were from when I say completely different planets, but somehow through that, there was like this magnetic pull, I would say. And it was really deep because I honestly, this is going to sound a little bit crazy, and you can tell me that I kind of made him my home in like human form,
Wow.
like my happy place.
Mm.
And looking back now, he represents a lot of firsts for me, I would say. We were young and wild and things were exciting. Like, girl, like those late night runs to Timmy's or like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, I literally remember the first time we held hands. It was under a blanket at a movie night with a group of friends, and I felt like my heart was going to explode. Like I was
Hmm.
just, girl, something as simple as a handhold for the first time like that. that was just, I don't know, a special thing for me, I guess, at that time. And I remember one special memory that I probably would never forget during this period of my life. And we took sleeping bags and we opened them up in the middle of this random field and laid down and just looked up at the stars and the aurora lights for hours. And we talked and laughed. I don't think I've ever felt so close to someone as I did in that very moment.
Girl, your life is like a whole rom-com right now. You out here laying under stars and stuff. Like, are you serious?
Oh, wait.
So how'd this one break your heart, girl?
It was kind of like a back and forth. I feel like our issues were twofold. This was my first real experience with unrequited love, as you mentioned earlier. With I forgot the name of the woman, but in the Parkers, how she loved this person, but they didn't reciprocate. So this was my real experience with that. Because even though we did all these things behind the scenes, he simply didn't have that same love or care for me, which made it easy for him to hurt me continuously. It would be the respect was literally in absentia. Things like, yeah, she's my best friend. You don't got to worry. Or, it's not that big of a deal if I would bring something up. Or, yeah, I can't go to this event with you. I have, quote unquote work. And I was not in an emotional space at the time to see these red flags. I didn't have, as I mentioned before, like I didn't really have self esteem, and I needed to leave that situation, but I felt like I needed him. And there's a quote by Nina Simone, and she says, "You got to learn to leave the table when love's no longer being served."
That's good.
That quote, it just hits home to me because I feel like in this type of toxic relationship, I didn't know how to leave the table. I couldn't leave the table. Maybe I didn't want to leave the table, or maybe I didn't want to believe everything that was happening. And at the time I was severely depressed, and I think it made it difficult to love me. But I feel like that could be another topic as well. If you're depressed or you're going through something, does that mean you're not deserving of love or respect?
Of course
And
not.
yeah. And I definitely don't think that it's an excuse, but I definitely think that it made it hard. And so, girl, when he left, it was the dramatics for me. I literally thought I was going to die. Like, I
Oh,
literally, that heartbreak felt like I felt that in every fiber of my body. I just don't know how to explain that to you other than I literally felt like I was dismantling. And because I never dealt with this heartbreak properly, if you catch me in my feelings and I think about it a little bit too hard or a little bit too long, I still can get emotional sometimes, which is not great. It's
yeah.
not great.
I feel like
You
a
know what
lot
I
of
mean?
people listening to us right now can definitely relate because if you walk on this planet at one point or another, your heart will break. Somebody is going to do you wrong. And, heartbreak obviously comes in so many different forms and fashions, not just romantically. And I'm sure we can explore other other ways that our hearts can break in future episodes. But I guess what I'm interested in, we talk about the maze that is heartbreak. Sometimes when you're going through all these things, you feel like you're in a maze, you're in a fog, you're lost, you can't figure out how you're going to get out, or even if there is a way out. So it's like, how
Mhm.
can, what do you think are some ways people can actually deal with heartbreak and get through that maze and make it to the other side and survive, these really, really devastating breakups?
I think the first thing that you can do is mourn the loss
That's important.
because, yeah, I definitely think it's important to mourn the loss because, like with anything, it's kind of like a death, right? It's a death to what
Yeah.
you once knew. It's a death to all those like beautiful experiences that I've shared here on HBOJ. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have to really sit in your feelings. And like I just mentioned how like I still kind of get emotional sometimes, and I think it's because I didn't spend enough time mourning the loss. And
Mm,
I feel like this is an important part of moving forward. If you
Yeah,
don't mourn the loss, if you don't take that time, then years down the road, you'll still have those feelings because you did not feel them when they were happening. You didn't take the time to sit in your feelings. So I
yeah,
think it's important to mourn that loss.
that's so
And
true. It's also a death
yeah,
of everything that maybe you would hope for that relationship. All the things that you were planning or things that you saw in the future, you also have to let that go too. So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot to process.
it is, but it's definitely necessary for the future you. And secondly, I think, talk to your friends, talk to your family, let it out. Let it all out. Because keeping that bottled up inside, I don't think it's healthy because then you're stuck with your thoughts. And sometimes you just need someone to comfort you and let you know that you're going to be okay. Even if you know you will, I think it makes a difference sometimes hearing it from your friend. I know for me in the past, through the experiences that I've had, it helped a lot to just have that friend, kind of sit in it with you or help you through that.
That is so important. And I think that helps with step one, which is mourning that loss, is being around people and talking and getting it all out. I would add to this if, like writing as well. Like, I know that helps me. I know everyone doesn't do that, but journaling or writing, sometimes it helps to crystallize how you're feeling. It helps you to pin down your emotions, and so, yeah, I think talking it out, writing it out, so, so important to trying to navigate heartbreak.
Definitely. And thirdly, I think we could, well, hear me out, right? Okay. Memory lane is a painful lane. So I think it's important to remove triggers that will have you in a state of hopelessness or anything like that. Those things that you look over and you see that movie ticket or something that you saved. I think it's very difficult to have these things constantly around you. So I think, once you get to a point where you're ready, it's important to remove these triggers from your life because memory lane could be beautiful, but it could also be very painful. I don't know if you've
Ah.
ever done this.
So what you're saying is
In
get rid of the artifacts from the relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hear you.
Mhm.
It's
Because,
true.
you're in your room and then you look over and you see, I don't know, like a picture or something, you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to help when
Yeah.
it's time for you to, like, move forward.
Yeah. Get rid of that bunny and that teddy bear and
Mhm.
whatever else. He got you.
With that, I think step 2 can help with that, with where having your friends and family involved. You don't have to remove those triggers by yourself. You can do that with your best friend, I don't know, your mom, whoever you
Oh, that
are
sounds like a
comfortable
fun
with,
night. That sounds like a bonfire type situation.
right? Light the fire. Fourthly, my advice to you guys is self care. Treat yourself. For both men and women, this is applicable. Get that fresh cut, get your nails done. You know what I mean? Do something that will kind of lift your spirits and get you back to feeling normal again or feeling yourself because, in that mourning period in stage one, you're probably not feeling or looking your best. So at that time, I think it's important to make sure that you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like for you, I think you will know what makes you feel good, so that you could take that next step forward.
Absolutely. I just want to add to that. Self-care is a great reminder that you're worthy. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of affection. It's a reminder that you should be investing in yourself and taking care of yourself. And I think
Hmm.
that sets you up and prepares you to be loved again, and to move forward and move
Hmm.
on.
Definitely. And lastly, I would say take a social media break. You don't need to be seeing all that. Like, take a break from social media because this comes in like different ways. I think one, you run the risk of seeing your heartbreaker maybe across the socials. And two, like sometimes, it's kind of hard when you're going through it to be constantly bombarded with happy couples. It's just a reminder that you're not in the best space at that time. So I think taking a social media break for those reasons could be good. I don't know, Kelly, like, what do you think about that? Because I know, like, we're so used to social media, we're low key kind of addicted to it. Do you think that it could be helpful or possible to do that
I mean,
when you're going through it?
absolutely. Absolutely. Social media breaks, you don't have to wait until, you're in a dark place to take a break from social media. That should be part of everybody's self-care routine, I think. Yeah, it can get really bad for your mental health. So if you're really not in a good space because of heartbreak, that's probably not the best time to be seeing everybody's highlight reels, to be seeing everybody's happy relationships, and like you said, perhaps even
Mhm.
seeing the person that broke your heart completely great and moving on. It's not a good thing. So I agree with this 100%. Take a little break and give yourself and your mind time to heal and to process for sure. It's so interesting. These 5 points that you brought up, I think, are awesome points for how to navigate the maze that's heartbreak. And the book of Job itself is a case study on how to deal with heartbreak. I mean, the very first thing you talked about is actually mourning the loss. And if you study and read through the book of Job, he teaches us how to respond when terrible things happen to us. And what we see is that it's okay to sit with your feelings, just like you said. It's okay to feel all the feels. One thing that I think is interesting is that there are certain verses in Job that are so dark, like he's really
Mhm.
depressed. He's really at some places he's suicidal. He's like, Lord, I wish I was never born. Like just take me out type of thing because of all that he's dealing with and going through. But then at other parts, he's super hopeful. And we have all these amazing declarations of faith in this book. So he's feeling all these things at the same time. And I think that's a lesson
Mhm.
for us, that all of your emotions are valid, that all the things that you're dealing with and going through, it's okay to sit with them. It's okay to feel them. Don't, you know, don't like push them down or push them away. And that first point you made, I think Job exemplifies that. The thing that I really love about him, though, he doesn't stay in that dark place. Coming together with friends and sharing with friends, he we see him doing that. He may not always have the best friends, and his friends don't always say the right things, but that's okay. That's a real human thing. Sometimes your friends are not
Mhm.
always going to give you the best advice. Thing is, he didn't go through it alone, right?
Mhm.
And so really what he shows us is that when we go through heartbreak, it's okay to mourn, it's okay to cry, but stay faithful. Keep holding on. Don't lose your hope. And I usually share a verse from Job, but today I definitely got to share from Psalm 34, because what I really want our audience to know is that God doesn't see our heartbreak as insignificant. Like he's extremely compassionate and empathetic towards us. So even if it's like
Mhm.
your second grade self going through heartbreak at the lunch line, he feels for you. And I really do love that about God. And in Psalm 34 verse 18, he says the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and he saves the
Amen.
crushed in spirit. I mean, isn't that beautiful? The fact
Yeah.
is that when we are brokenhearted, God doesn't look at us and say, I'm the creator of the universe. I've got bigger fish to fry. You'll get over that boy. You'll get over that girl. He doesn't do that. He instead, this verse tells us that he offers us his presence as comfort. I
Mhm.
love that. He's like, I'm going to come near to you. Because, when your heart's breaking, there's nothing really that anyone can say. It's just, I'm going to be around you and I'm going to just be here for you until you're better. And this is what God is saying. I'm just going to be here with you. The Lord is near. You're just going to feel sucky for a while. That's how heartbreak is. But God is saying, I'm going to comfort you just by being near you, by
Mhm.
giving you my presence. So, whoever out there is just dealing with a hard time right now, God is promising to be near and to give you comfort through his presence. So I really just wanted to encourage you, Jen, and everybody listening that God is near when we are brokenhearted.
Amen. Yes, definitely. And as always, guys, we want to hear from you. So if you could comment below on our YouTube page underneath this video, we'd like to talk to you about your heartbreak experiences, and maybe you guys could share, if you'd like, how you overcame or how you're overcoming your heartbreak. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, till next time, this is Jen and Kelly, her book of Job. Peace.